Hi Camille, welcome and thanks for agreeing to be interviewed for the first year OT students.
Absolute pleasure, Anita.
So you know what questions I'm going to ask you, but if you decide to take a bit of a diversion along the way, that's perfectly okay too, all right?
No problem.
Okay, great. So as you know, the first question I like to ask is, how did you choose occupational therapy or did it choose you?
Well, it was my partner that actually chose occupational therapy for me, believe it or not, because I
Oh,
didn't know what occupational therapy was 7 years ago.
wow.
Um, so my partner's a physician and we moved up here to Queensland. I followed him up because of work, the prevalence of work up here for him.
Yeah.
And I had been working as an interior designer for many years at quite a busy practice in Sydney.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a change. And moving up to a regional town, I thought, well, I can't really continue on the design path. You really need to be in a big capital city to get sort of repetitive ongoing work and for work if you're working with a big practice, that is.
Yeah.
And which I was used to. And then my partner suggested, well, I was interested actually in his job, not to be a doctor, but I just to have an idea of what his job was like. I actually accompanied him on a ward round, and he was actually mentoring some young student doctors. So I sort of bundled along like one of the student doctors and got a bit of an insight into what his job was like. And I just thought, wow, it just opened up the whole healthcare world to me. And I thought, wow, it's wonderful how he's helping all these vulnerable people.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if there's something I can do even on a voluntary basis, because I was sort of not sure what I wanted to do. And he said, look, I think OT would be a great fit for you because of your background with modifying environments and making them, functional and practical as well as aesthetically pleasing.
Wow.
And he was a big believer, or he still is a big believer in allied health being a great preventative of with healthcare and everything like that. And he actually introduced me to the allied health team at the hospital that he's working at.
Great.
So all these fabulous young OTs. I felt like the old dad coming in, and I looking for some insight into what the job was all about before I committed to a 4-year degree.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you were making this choice?
I was 48.
Right. Yeah. I think it really helps some of the mature students to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I asked, not to ask how old you are.
It's a big investment into your time and change careers and such a late stage in your life. So I actually met up with the allied health team, which consisted of a multidisciplinary team of physios and everything else at the hospital. Yeah. And what I was astounded by was the broad variety, even in the hospital setting, from orthopedics to pediatrics to, they had sort of like a community aspect to it too. I was just amazed with all the variety that was there. So they were so lovely and enthusiastic and embracing of me. Wonderful. And I thought, oh my God, I'm the old kid on the block here.
Yeah.
And they let me shadow them for 4 days in all the different sections, which was wonderful. And I just thought this is a really lovely career, because I didn't really see myself as a healthcare worker per se, because I saw healthcare as very black and white from a medical perspective, seeing my partner. Very sort of black and white, whereas what I liked about OT was that there was a bit of creativity to it. It was the melding of sciences and creative thought processes involved with that.
Wow, what a journey. It's funny, isn't it? Because, I worked with you for 4 years now. I've never heard that story. But anyway, but I mean, that's the lovely thing about, getting to know your students and also staying in touch. So that aspect of the job. So what led to your decision to work in community after you graduated?
Well, community seemed to be like a really nice transition for me from being an interior designer, because there's a lot of similar parallels where you go out to
Yep.
people's homes.
Yep.
You, in an interior designer, you obtain a brief, and
Yeah.
in the case of an OT, you're kind of obtaining a brief, but in quite a more of a clinical, defined manner with framework and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're looking at all aspects of the person as an OT, but you are also as an interior designer. So it just seemed to be the right fit for me to move into community. Plus there was the variety of work. You're not just doing home modifications, you're doing rehabilitation. There might be a little bit of mental health or psychosocial. There might be assistive technology involved, whether it be low-tech stuff or quite high-tech, customised sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I liked the idea of the variety as well.
And has it been like that for you so far? Like that's what you thought. So what kinds of areas have you worked in since graduating and being in community?
Well, DBA clients is, and mainly the older.
You have to explain DVA is.
Sorry, the acronyms is.
Yeah.
I have to get there.
Veterans Affairs. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, isn't it, how we speak in, abbreviations and acronyms.
You have to think.
Yeah.
Yes, Department of Veteran Affairs.
Yeah.
And now we're delving into NDIS, and I actually saw lovely Kieran the other day. We were sitting on an NDIS.
Yep.
Informal meeting where there were lots of OTs there, just learning about all the papers, reports and everything.
Yeah, amazing area. So NDIS, National Disability Insurance Scheme, and run by NDIA, the National Disability Insurance Agency. Yeah. But I mean, I think that in this day and age, our students will be going NDIS, right? That's something I've got to learn. So clearly, I mean, as it's, as this video is being put together, NDIS has arrived on the Sunshine Coast just this year. If we watch this video again in future years, it'll be a year or two. How's that impacting your work? Like, what's happening there?
It's going to open up a broad spectrum of age groups. So the under 65s will start coming into our client list, not just the over 65s, because obviously the NDIS covers everyone under 65. However, they can elect to continue on in their older years with that NDIS plan, or
I didn't know that.
To go with my aged care, apparently.
Gotcha.
And there are things evolving all the time with NDIS, with their paperwork as well, as we found out just yesterday. So things are always changing, and they're really interested with allied health input, which is great to hear.
Yeah, so how do you find out about these sorts of things? Who has on or go along to it?
The NDI trying to, I suppose, put it out there, but you also need to be in the know as well, and contact them if you're not in a big company or organisation, to attend these info workshops, if you like, where they go through all the paperwork and the changes and how to best write when you're advocating for certain equipment or therapeutic interventions, etc., or modalities, whatever is required of the person.
Yeah, so they're helping you.
Yes, they are. They're very supportive. So don't be afraid once you're out there to actually go online, ring them up. There's a number that you can ring up as a clinician, and just put you in touch with the most appropriate person.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, when you're a student, you really don't know which way's up. You don't even know why you've chosen OT if you're in first year. Yeah. So it must have been a pretty steep learning curve once you got it out into practice. Did prac help with that, or?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. And I think use those prac experiences and just keep notes, get a resource kit together. I've got a filing cabinet at home, and you can probably see all the folders behind me.
Yeah, yeah, very organised.
All of that, because I think you just never know when you might want to call upon. There's so many wonderful resources that you provide for us in our lecture notes and things like that, and I've actually
and you've kept them.
I've kept them, and I've kept all my assignment work, everything, because you just never know when you might need, and even some of my textbooks as well.
Yeah, well, which textbooks?
The ones that I've kept, I'm just looking behind me, is Willard and Spackman's Occupational Therapy, lovely big orangey one. I've got that somewhere. It's just a wonderful guide, you know, when you're thinking you're doing your intervention planning and you're new at it and you think, will I try this with them, or will I try a bit of that? It's a bit of trial and error. Even though, you know, you've got your best evidence-based practices, sometimes they don't always work or aren't the right fit for a person because they don't fall into that definite black and white sort of category.
Yeah, so you sometimes use your books for inspiration by the sounds of things.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. So do you remember that last year, it's over there, so I won't walk off, but we got that new Australian OT text. Did you open that one at all last year? Because I remember talking to you about it, but...
no, you'll have to remind me which one.
I don't think you guys had it, so, but our current first years and last year's first years are the first to have it. So, actually, I'll go and grab it. Just stay.
Yeah, I had a look behind me to see if I could see it.
Okay, so it's actually this one here.
Oh, no, I'm not familiar with that one at all.
Yeah, I think I showed some people in class last year, you know, just some of the fourth years got a glimpse of it, and I was sort of saying, I'm so pleased we've finally got an Australian textbook.
That's within the Australian context of things.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the first chapter is called An Introduction to Occupational Therapy in an Australian Context, and chapter 2 is an overview of the Australian healthcare system.
Fabulous.
And chapter 3 is the history of Australian occupational therapy.
Wow.
Hallelujah.
That's great.
I'm such a nerd.
No, you're not. Occupational therapy, which is lovely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, we're so passionate about it. We can't help ourselves. But anyway, my next question is, I like this one. Can you describe a day in the past month that illustrates the kinds of things that you do in your role?
Well, there's a variety of things. So obviously care plans, as far as, you know, working out what the client needs, and also being collaborative with them and what they want to achieve out of the sessions with you. Yeah. So it could be that you might be doing some home mods to address falls prevention, or because they've got a ongoing degenerative condition like Parkinson's, where you're having to make adjustments for the future and future safe-proof the home. Yeah. Or it could be impairments and you're just trying to limit the amount of, I suppose, demand.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Environment.
Yeah. So that the environment's not taxing them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
Also, as an energy conservation measure as well. What else?
Tell me about an interesting home mod you've done. What's something interesting? We probably should say modification.
I haven't done anything really exciting.
Okay, what's the most basic thing you've done?
Okay, so your typical thing would be handrails, ramps, flip down shower chairs, or integrating a solid, which is a trend now in America, in most bathrooms is to have a lovely integrated shower bench.
Ah, right.
Look really aesthetically pleasing. You go on to house.com.
I love house.com.
I love it too. You can actually
Love
get
that
some
app.
really beautiful bathroom designs that actually give you some inspiration for some home modifications if you're doing something more integrated, and that's not going to detract from the value of the home and make it look medical and clunky, and also value the home.
On that, do you use Pinterest at all as well to get ideas?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pinterest, I think.
Yeah. Because you used to be a Pinterest user, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I remember that.
I've still got my little sections for occupational therapy, because there's some great creative therapeutic ideas on there.
Yes.
Pediatrics, for mental health, all those things, and you can sort of have your little different folders for, and just your visual ideas in there, which is
so great. I can't imagine, like, you know, when I came out into OT practice, it was 1990, and so the internet was a couple of years off. And you know, I mean, we used to just, I mean, we went to our books a lot, but I suppose we turned to each other a lot for those sorts of ideas. Do you do that much, you know, in practice? Do you ask other people for ideas?
Yeah, actually, the lovely thing about the company I work for, because we have some downtime, I call it downtime, for RACFs, which is another an acronym for residential aged care.
Oh, yes.
Where we're doing mental handling guides, we're doing pain management.
Yeah.
A bit of downtime where we can get with our fellow colleagues, whether it be physios or OTs, and sort of enlighten each other with what's happening out in the community. But we have also regular sort of cluster meetings and discipline-specific meetings. So it's really, I must say, the company is really good with, you know, getting on top of those sorts of things.
Oh,
they
that's
have regular conferences as well, where they have visiting people, whether it be more physio slanted it happens seasonally, so it might be physio orientated one season, and then come autumn, where the autumn conference is, it might be more OT orientated.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
everything.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
Making me jealous. So in terms of your job, it sounds to me like, you know, you do a lot of planning with people, really listening to their story and listening to their goals. Yeah.
And you can have, in OT, you can often, like the physios tend to have longer periods of time, because they're obviously doing exercise programs, they need to do repetition, they need to build up to regain function back or to maintain function. They're doing that over a period of time. So they tend to have probably longer periods of stretches of time with the clients, whereas we can sometimes have more shorter periods where we just go in and we're doing a home mod, or in the case of someone that's had a stroke, we might be doing quite a bit of long period work with them, or degenerative conditions such as Parkinson's or motor neurons, etc.
Yeah.
So it all just depends. It can vary.
Do you have to keep timesheets?
No, we don't have to keep timesheets, but there's obviously reporting methods.
Yeah.
With Department of Veteran Affairs, they have particular documentation that they require, and with progress notes, with reports every so often. When there's a change in the care plan, you have to basically reissue another report, etc.
Do you get admin support to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're doing all of our documentation from an iPad.
That's cool.
So all our documents are on PDF Expert.
Yeah.
Very frustrating at times.
Yes.
Especially with dear old ladies who are used to signing things.
Oh, right, yes. So if they've got a bit of a tremor or whatever, it could be quite hard to get the signature in the right spot. Yeah,
so
okay.
In some cases, if I know that, I would print off like the DVA authority to install form in the case of a home modification.
Yeah.
I'll print that off the night before that I know I'm seeing them. If they sort of really don't feel comfortable using their index finger to try and equal or assign. And as I say to them, it doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
It's really just you authorising what I'm doing and approving what I'm about to install in your home.
Yeah. So there's a nice little workaround that you're thinking forward. Oh, this person has a tremor. I might just print off the form, or they're not so confident with technology, and that's very respectful, isn't it?
I think you have to be a little bit adaptable to those sorts. Even when you've got an iPad there, it's not always good to. I tend to not try and write too many of my notes in front of them because I listen to them, and often there's lots of diversions, a bit like myself, I divert as well. So they want to have a chat, but obviously time is precious, and that's something I've had to learn to really time manage and watch my time, because time is money.
And so interesting, isn't it? But it is that sort of, I don't know, it's a tightrope, isn't it?
It is.
You've got that building rapport and using that therapeutic use of self, and the fact that if you don't do that, you're really not going to get the information you need.
Absolutely. So, and sometimes these conversations that might seem totally off the radar as far as your clinical work is concerned can actually be quite insightful.
Yeah.
And can actually lead to some insightful information.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating.
You might be the only person that visits all week too, so that's why they sometimes latch on.
Yes. So do you ever take if that happened, would you make a recommendation about some sort of community service?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We often do the modified Bethel index.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's great.
A great assessment for getting all those social support structures, what they have, what they don't have, where they're perhaps need some extra help, and it just gives you a nice profile.
That's great. I was going to ask you, because when you get out into practice, you have to learn things very rapidly, like all who you can refer to and where you buy things from and all that stuff. But did you find from all of your pracs you could just bring that knowledge to the setting you were in? So from the other different settings, you'd say, well, I had to find out this here, so there'd be an equivalent. I've just got to find out the equivalent. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I think I was very fortunate in that I had a placement at LifeTech, so that really exposed me to all the really confident about prescribing wheelchairs and looking at all the high-tech assistive technologies as well as the low-tech stuff using like little simple kitchen aids that are very low risk and you can buy off the shelf, basically. So that was a wonderful resource to draw upon, and I can recommend anyone out there to go on the I think it's the ILC Independent Living Centre website, which is attached and associated with LifeTech, and it just gives you non-biased information about the products that are out there and where the suppliers are, and you can actually click on Queensland suppliers wherever you are based, and ring them up also as a clinician to get advice if you're even delving into or crossing over into another specialty area, like even a speeches area where you're looking at augmented speech devices, and perhaps you've had a client that's got deteriorating speech and they're wanting to have some apps or something for an iPad as a way of communicating. You can always ring them up and just say, have you got any information or advice? And hopefully they'll be able to provide that.
Great. Yeah, that's such a great tip. And, students can actually go and visit LifeTech down in Brisbane if they want to. I mean, it's a really great, fun holiday activity.
They've got workshops there. They've got a room where you can actually touch and feel the thing. the product.
Yeah. I think, I was just going to go to the next question. So that's a beautiful segue. But do you have any hints or tips for OT students to help them enjoy their degree and get the most out of it?
I think draw upon your interests and your passions and look at how you can work that into OT. And I think a classic example is the hot Japanese woman at the moment, Marie Kondo.
Yeah, yeah.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with her, she is a Japanese woman that's made a monotonous IADL
Yeah.
of cleaning, maintaining a home, decluttering, organising a home into an art form. And she has become, she's written books that are New York Times bestsellers, and she's now apparently got a TV program on Netflix. But it just goes to show you how, we're dealing with ADLs that people could deem monotonous and boring, and and how you can make it into an art form. And so what she's doing is she's trying to, she's doing a little bit of mindfulness too. Like, does this possession of yours, whether it be clothing or all the clutter that we all collate around us, that does it bring you joy? If it doesn't bring you joy, throw it out.
Yeah.
And, you can look at that from an OT perspective, and when you go into some of people's homes and you do see a lot of clutter and you think, oh my God, this is such a falls risk, or it's a fire hazard. And there is actually a cluttering assessment where they show a series of pictures of how cluttered an environment is and how it can be such a health hazard in certain ways.
Yes.
And we've actually got one of those assessments with our, and it just makes me think of that Marie Kondo, and how you can somehow work in a creative solution and make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it a mindfulness process. And don't underestimate your transferable skills, whether you're a young person who's just had a part-time job in hospitality, and building up your confidence and learning about building up rapport and interacting with people, or you're a person like me that's had multiple career paths, and how you can work those and marry those into OT. And that's probably the best advice I can give, and just really suck up as much information as you can from everywhere, and create your little, whether it be on your computers, or if you're like me and like the old-fashioned method of keeping textbooks and things that you can thumb through and highlight and bookmark, whatever way suits you, so that you've got that as...
Oh, it's just lagging there. Oh. Yeah, it just lagged just then. I lost you. But anyway, the general gist is bring your passion, and constantly search and take in information and store it in really good ways that it's retrievable by the sounds of things.
Absolutely, because you never know when you might grow upon it. And the trend these days, I'm noticing, and I'm kind of following that trend as an older person, and I think our generation, Anita, was you stayed with a company forever and a day, and you think that loyalty, whereas now it's quite common to move on after, even 3 years or even a year, to move on to the next thing. And I suppose with OT being so broad, some people want that regular change to broaden their clinical scope, I suppose, or experiences.
And I think, one person I spoke with last year, she actually said to me, we just had a conversation via LinkedIn actually, and she wanted to change areas, but she felt like she couldn't shift, but she was miserable in the job she was in, the first job she took out of uni. And I said to her, look, if you're thinking about something else, even don't stay miserable, because that's so sad, but maybe go and see if you can shadow, which is funny because you said that you did that. See if you can go and shadow somebody, even someone you know from uni, or someone who it ended up being a special school, one of the special schools that we went to with the year ones. And it was it turned out that the offer, just the idea of shadowing and then the offer of shadowing was enough to make her vault out of that sad place into action.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we kind of, like, we just had that little interaction. It was really minor, but I think that's the other thing, is that I want students who are here now to know that we actually don't mind if you contact us again after you leave. You know, like, we run into each other at that focus group, and it's, you know, we're colleagues now. And I just love that about our profession. So, you know, don't be a stranger to the people who helped you get through, and don't be a stranger to the people you went through with, because seriously, they can be some of your best allies. So
that's so true.
Yeah.
That's what we've been hearing too at this NDIS meeting, and hearing what he's doing, and connecting with some of the other OTs on the Sunshine Coast out there.
Yes.
So networking.
Isn't that a great thing to do too? Connect locally. Yeah.
Absolutely, because you never know who is looking for who, and who's extra, and especially I think there's a lot of smaller businesses on the coast here now looking for OTs in readiness for this.
Yeah.
NDIS
I think they are.
Opening up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. And I really look forward.
For the students as well out there.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'll see you around.
See you around, Nita.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.